guys, it's Annabelle. So I wanted to do a really quick labor and delivery story for my third child and my second daughter. Okay, so you all saw the video. If you've been following me, you saw the video where my water broke. My water broke when I was on the way to the hospital, sorry. So my water broke at 11 a.m. I was sitting in a recliner. I was having some contractions, but they weren't severe or anything like that. They were just little and then it was like gone. So I was stood up from my chair and I felt a pop. It wasn't like a huge pop, but it was enough that it kind of felt like my back kind of cracked or jolted a little bit. That's like the best way that I know how to describe it. And then it felt like I just like started like peeing, like it went all down my leg. It was super warm. And I was like, okay, like it took me a minute and I was just like, okay, that was my water breaking. My water broke and I just got so excited, and then it was like, okay, I need to call my doctor, call my husband, like all that kind of stuff. So since I wasn't having severe contractions at all, my doctor said that I could go ahead and eat lunch and get settled, get packed, and come in later. So at 12:45, I went to the hospital and they did the little swab and it turned purple. So they confirmed that my water broke, and they checked me just real quick and I was at a 2. And then at 1:15, so like a half hour later, the doctor came in to check me and I was at a 3 to 4. And I wasn't having any sort of strong contraction at all. So we decided to start Pitocin to start some really good contractions to get things moving and all that kind of stuff. And that is the part that instantly kind of dropped my spirit a little bit, because I did not want to be like induced and start Pitocin with this baby. And it was so nice that my water broke on its own, so we knew that it was going to be like that day within the 24 hours. So that was exciting, but the whole we're going to start Pitocin thing and that conversation really got me down a little bit. So at 2:30, they gave me just a little bit of time to kind of see if things would pick up, but they didn't. So at 2:30, I got my IV, I got fluids, and they started the Pitocin to get things going, get contractions going, get good, strong contractions so we make progress and all that kind of stuff. And so they were turning it up every 30 minutes to kind of increase those. And I did really well with each increase that they did. I was really focused this time. I knew what to expect. Everything was going very well. And then at 4 o'clock, they came in and they told me that the anesthesiologist that was going to be doing my epidural needed to leave, or he had something that he needed to go do in a different city. We live in a small town, so like some of the doctors and nurses and physicians and stuff that they have there actually come from other towns to our hospital. So he had other stuff that he needed to go. So I got placed in like a semi-difficult decision. They said that if I wanted to get an epidural, and I said that I did not want one like right then, and that I was going to try to push through and see how it went and all that kind of stuff. Well, so then it came down to, well, that I could have it placed and then get the medication later. And I was like, that sounds awesome. So they were going to have somebody else come in and they would give the order to like do the medication through the epidural later if I needed it. I was very confident that I could make it, but I kind of wanted that plan B. At that moment when I made that decision, it was like I wanted a plan B. I wanted to make sure that if it got too rough, if it got so bad, I had something to fall back on. And like, so I decided to have the epidural placed. So at 4 o'clock, it was, I had the epidural put in. It went in very smoothly. I didn't have any like hiccups in the, like putting it in. They had to try 2 times with my son. I didn't have any problem with it getting in with my daughter either, my first daughter. So After the epidural was placed, I continued to go through contractions and all that kind of stuff. And I was staying focused and breathing and just being in the moment and remembering that I was going to see my baby soon. At 5 o'clock, I was checked, and I was at a 4 to 5. And so I was excited, but I was still like, ugh, like that is my point. When you're at like a 4 or 5, like that's kind of my, okay, we have a long ways to go yet, but we're making progress. So I tried to stay positive. I was hoping that I was at a 6 or a 7, but a 4 or 5, I was like, okay, we can do this. So at 6 o'clock, I started to get to the point where I thought that I was going to need an epidural. I knew I could push through for a little while longer, but I was at that point where it was almost my breaking point, and I knew I was almost there. I was getting really like into my head and like things like that. I was starting to lose focus at that point, but I was like, okay, I need to refocus, readjust myself so I can make it. So I started doing that, and I made it about 45 minutes, and then I was at my point where everything was getting so severe that I was at my break. And so I talked to my nurse, and she's like, okay, like we're gonna like check you, see where everything's at, see where you're going right now. So I was checked, and I was at a 10, and I started to feel like the urges that everyone talks about, like that something needs to happen, and like my something needs to happen was like, okay, I need to like start pushing and everything like that. Then like as soon as they told me I was at a 10, like the contraction level increased. They got super severe. I was grabbing onto my husband's shirt. I was trying to focus. I had my eyes closed and just trying to breathe, and like my breath was skipping. It was going like, but it was all like one breath out. And I was starting to shake, like all of that, like energy and all of the like anticipation, anxiety, all of that was right there. So, like the doctor came in, got dressed, all of that kind of stuff, and like checked to make sure everything was all like perfect, like that she could just come right on out. And so I had to push 7 times. This was the most painful birth that I had. I did have epidurals with medication going through them for my other 2. I had to push the most with her. I pushed twice with my daughter. I pushed 4 times with my son. And with this one, I pushed 7 times. She was the most difficult to get out. And it was just a feeling of relief afterwards. With my daughter and my son previously, with both my previous births, it wasn't so much a relief. It was like, oh my gosh, it was excitement, anticipation, all of that for seeing my baby. And with this one, since I had all of that pain, there was a huge sense of relief afterwards. And it was still that excitement and everything to see my baby, but I can't even explain the relief afterwards. So that is the biggest difference between this one, is like just that pain ending is like the relief afterwards was just amazing. But anyways, so my 3rd baby, my 2nd girl, came out into this world at 7:15 p.m. She was 21 inches long, and she was 9 pounds and 1 ounce. So that was just so exciting. And I cannot even tell you how much joy she's brought to our lives already. I know this video is late. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If anybody wants me to do any like more description or anything like that, just let me know and I will do another video. And again, I apologize this is so late. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Bye guys.